already know it's canon in the official comics that in some circumstances, characters can have their homes forcibly bought out from under them. Like in issue 2013, when characters living in West Kensington in East London had their homes confiscated and demolished to make way for a new shopping center. And if it's already canon that people can have their property expropriated for a new mall, it's surely not that much of a leap to say they could be expropriated so people could actually live in them? Only this time the money...
Can you imagine getting your property like eminent domain so some homeless guy could move in?
I know.
Like literally they're taking your tax dollars so that they can throw you out of your
worse
home.
Than that. It's not even them taking your tax dollars. They're taking your home isn't your tax dollars. They're taking your private property that you paid for.
No, but I'm saying if they eminent domain you, they're paying you with your tax dollars for the home to let some homeless guy move who doesn't pay any taxes.
Right, right.
That's like, oh man, this is a horror movie he's laying out here.
Money for that force would be all the rent that's already been paid to keep all of that money. They still don't have to give it back, which sounds like a pretty sweet deal to me. I mean, yeah, you can't take half of somebody else's paycheck anymore, but you get to keep all the money you already took. And with no landlords, estate agents, or property developers,
yeah, go work at Taco Bell, guys.
gentrification loses all his powers too. We might even see reverse gentrification.
Oh, you're going to see a lot of reverse gentrification, right. I'm telling you.
Right.
Well, how's he defining reverse gentrification? Like, that's when you're going more towards the ghetto, right?
Yeah, that's when your nice areas become shitty.
Yeah.
I guess. Yeah, which is what would happen if you were to just start saying, oh, we're just going to take all the property away from, people and just give it to poor people.
Yeah.
And this is what's so disturbing is like, I mean, neither of us, we're all in favor of helping lower income families, helping poor people, helping all these people, totally in favor of that. But it's just disgusting to me that the bread tubers, they always paint it like this binary. It's like, well, you can either like go full communism, steal people's property to help the poor, or you're just a fucking like capitalist stepping on the skulls of like the poor beneath you.
Yeah. It's awful.
And it's funny because if you look at all the charts that show like homelessness and all these problems, they've all been going down dramatically.
Yeah,
in the country, they've all been going down.
As folks from poorer neighborhoods move into empty homes in ritzy neighborhoods that previously nobody could afford. But Niall, if that's the case, then who owns all the properties? Well, that's the awesome bit. Nobody does. You know what that means? That means that if a character in the comics has a job that they hate, or their boss is an asshole.
Okay.
Nobody owns any of the property.
Well, let me let him finish his thoughts.
Yeah, no, this is good.
They need to take time off of
back it up because this is so ridiculous.
That's the awesome bit. Nobody does. You know what that means? That means that if a character in the comics has a job that they hate, or their boss is an asshole, or they need to take time off of work to care for a relative, or paint a painting, write a novel, go on a protest, join a union, get involved in politics, they can do it. They can say, screw you, I don't need your job anymore. Because I don't need to make rent, because there is no more rent. That means that all the background characters, the little characters.
Okay. So there's so much wrong with this.
How is this not religion? I'm telling you. Like, he's just selling you.
He just, wait a minute, listen to what he just said. If you just want to quit your job for whatever reason, you can, because you don't have to pay rent.
Right.
It's like, oh, that sounds good. And you're like, wait a minute.
I got to eat.
But even besides, he's basically advocating that you just don't have to work.
Yeah.
Like, why would you work if you just have a free house? I don't know. but then even beyond that, this is like the total lack of psychology here of human understanding is so baffling, because everyone knows this is so well documented that if you're given something, you have no appreciation for it.
Oh my God, you're going full Sargon here.
But it's 100% true. The Sargon's right about this. If someone just gives you something, you have so much less appreciation for it. And what that means is that you're just going to like destroy it and treat it like shit.
Yeah.
And this is part of the issue with renting versus owning a house, is that so many times after people rent a property to someone, when they get it back, they have to spend all this money fixing it because the renter doesn't give a shit if the pipes get fucked up. They don't give a shit if there's water damage. They don't give a shit, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, because it's not theirs, right? I mean, you even see this. Everyone who's ever played Minecraft That's why Minecraft is like the best game ever made. Minecraft teaches you so much about life. Okay. If you ever played Minecraft, you all know what I'm talking about. You play on survival mode in Minecraft. And what happens? You have to chop down your trees.
No creative mode. I like creative mode.
You got to get your stone. You got to get your iron. You got to make all your tools. You got to smelt everything. It all takes so much time and so much effort. So when you build your little house with all the trees and you got like different color wood all over the place, you have to go find the little flowers to decorate it. You have to go all over the world to get all these resources and spend all this time making your little house or a castle or whatever. You feel accomplished and you look at it and you get a sense of satisfaction from your house, right?
Mm-hmm.
But what happens if you go into creative mode and you just say, oh, I have infinite resources, and I just go plop, 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 and I plop my little blocks down. I make the same house. I have zero feeling of affection or appreciation for it than I did in survival mode. And I instantly want to stop playing the game.
Yeah.
That's what happens.
I know.
And it's just so weird to me that people like Philosophy Tube don't understand this.
I've heard this in theory. I've seen it work on other people. It's never really worked on me.
Mm-hmm.
I have a different outlook on stuff, but I know there are people that, you know, if they own something and work hard for it and that kind of stuff.
You're saying this isn't your experience?
Not my own personal experience. Yeah. Because I own things and I just treat everything I own like shit, to be honest with you. I literally have backed up into the side of my own garage.
Right.
And there's still white paint on the car from when I did it.
No, but it's not a question of just treating things like shit. You understand that there's an emotional feeling of accomplishment when you work hard on something versus it just appearing before you.
Oh yeah, totally. I'm a painter, and you know, I'm working on the comic and stuff like that. It's totally, yeah, no.
Yeah, exactly. I'm saying
creating something. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, exactly. Of course, you know this. You're a perfectionist.
Yeah,
okay.
Fucking A. Yeah.
Adam, you'll spend hours, you know, on a single painting, doing all these minor details. You're doing all this little stuff there, right?
Yeah.
But then, and you're gonna have so much appreciation for that painting,
Mm-hmm.
more so than you would if you just like found a picture and printed it out and just pasted it on the wall.
Totally.
That took you zero effort to accomplish.
Yeah. No. It's great.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's awesome.
So you are that person. You're just not in certain areas.
Yeah.
Like you probably feel that way about your art.
Not with houses and like cars and stuff like that.
Right.
Who cares?
Right.
Yeah.
Sure.
Characters who for so long have been playing second fiddle to housing market as the hero of the series, they become the protagonists of the comic. Yeah, it sucks if you've already paid half your mortgage and you don't get that money back, but on the other hand, at least you don't have to pay the other half. And at the end of the series, with the property force destroyed, who would the big losers be? Rich landlords, banks who got people into debt, and people who were using property to launder money. The very same villains who've been...
You like that? Only evil people own property, Adam. Did you know that?
What about working class families who own a fucking house and the equity in their home is their retirement, Ollie? Jesus Christ.
Well, it's so funny because they always talk about, you know, the wealth gap, right? The wealth gap.
Oh, America. Yeah, it's totally based on housing.
Totally based on housing. So basically what Ollie is basically wants is that he's saying he wants to destroy the wealth of like 99% of the population in most countries. Because all of their wealth is generally coming from their house.
Yeah. Yeah.
So there you go, Ollie. This is Ollie's hot take. I want to destroy. I wish he would just tweet that out. I want to destroy the wealth of the majority of people in my country. Philosophy too.
It's a thing that they always say about how your equality is dragging everyone down to the bottom. And I hate that argument. I hate it because that's true. I see it so much, but there is true on some level.
Well, it's because it's always easier to destroy than to build. So it's easier to just bring everyone down than it is to build everyone up. That's very difficult to build everyone up.
And like the whole part of his thesis here, how are we going to increase the housing stock with this? He never really goes into that. Is he going to go into this later or what?
Oh, well, yeah, that's a good question. Well, I guess he's saying you don't have to increase the housing stock because there's already more houses than there are people.
Yeah, but we're creating people all the time. That's why.
Well, he doesn't address that, does he?
Like, I don't. I mean, I'd like to colonize Mars here. What are we stopping? We're not producing any more people now, Ollie?
Yeah, do we need to have is there going to have like a one
population
China
control?
policy?
Oh my God.
Instead of rent control, we have population control because we can't build houses anymore. So
scary.
Allied with housing crisis from issue number 1. Some fanfiction writers like to imagine that the state could take over some of housing market's powers, but that's kind of already been explored in an alternate universe run of the comics set in Russia, which remains pretty controversial even among fans. Although another comic book writer called Hugo Chavez wrote his own.
See, look, he's not like a bad USSR communist. He's like a new hip communist, bro. He doesn't want the state to control. He wants the people to control, whatever the fuck that means.
You know, the one huge thing too about property rights is property rights are instrumental in entrepreneurship in all kinds of areas, because usually a piece of property is what you put up as collateral for business loans. Like this happens all the time. So if you get rid of property rights, how exactly are we going to start financing? How are people going to finance their businesses? There's another video that I watched recently where the guy was talking about how the problem in a lot of third world countries is that they don't have stable property rights. So people who want to engage in entrepreneurship can't. They all own houses and they all have places where they live, but with unstable property rights, they don't have anything that they can give to a bank to get a loan to start a business or anything like that. And it keeps third world nations as third world nations. So property rights is something that we should be emphasizing in other places like this to get them out of poverty, not taking away property rights. It's so stupid. Like everything he's advocating for creates more problems than it actually solves. I mean, I guess maybe it solves the problem for the one guy who wants to quit his job and get into politics.
Adam, are you suggesting, that this poorly thought out, shallow, simplistic, idiotic idea proposed by Philosophy Tube is going to have wide-reaching unintended consequences that will be ultimately incredibly negative for all of society? Is that what you're suggesting?
If anyone implemented, but I'm saying that it might be like, this might just be like where people look at it. I mean, there's going to be maybe 5% of the population that's going to fall for anything. And they're going to fall for this if this lines up with their thinking. But I don't know that those people really have any power anyway. He's catering to the least powerful people in society now already.
Well, I think it's sort of paradoxical. No, because I think it's a paradox. I think most of these commie kids are all bourgeoisie kids.
Oh, you're right. They are powerful. Shut up, Adam. Oh, no.
Yeah. I mean, I'm sure lots of them are like, are like poor and not well off, but I don't think that's the majority of them.
Oh no, you're right.
Yeah.
You're right. They are. They're just their parents have been paying their rent their whole life and they feel bad. They're like, I don't want my parents to pay my rent anymore. Maybe I'll just be a communist and get the state to be my daddy.
Right. Well, I mean, if we're to give it a positive spin, I think a lot of it's, I've had someone looking out for me my whole life, so I want the same thing for everyone else. Mm-hmm. But then it just goes in this insane direction.
I agree. Yeah, no, I think that's exactly
totally insane direction. Yeah. Isn't it? If you would, this is so disappointing. This is so depressing. If you would have asked me in 2010 if people would be advocating for communism seriously in 2020 with large channels and large audiences, and they weren't just laughed out of the public space, I would have never believed you in a million years.
Yeah, I agree. I would have felt the same way. So fascinating.